University Athletics Hall of Fame, I'm Olivia Hoff.
And I'm Matt Metzger. Welcome to the Rider Sports Report. Welcome to the first show of the spring 2010 semester of the Rider Sports Report. We're going to fill you in on everything you may have missed while you were home for your winter break. We're going to start with the men's basketball team. During the break, they posted a 3-9 record. Josh Feltry has more on what you may have missed.
Hey Rider, Josh Feltry here to recap men's basketball here at Rider. Okay, so start off. Friday, men's basketball, the Bronx, came in hot, riding a 3-game winning streak facing Loyola, one of the bottom feeders of the MAC, coming in second to last. However, the Bronx fell into the trap that some teams fall into, underestimating their opponents, as Loyola ended up winning 80-73. Starting off, the Bronx came out shooting pretty badly, which has been their Achilles heel all season. They ended up shooting under 40% from the field, allowing Loyola to shoot over 50%. Another Achilles heel for the Bronx has been the free throw line, as they really struggled again Friday night. They shot a little over 50% from the line. Now, their most consistent player has been Justin Robinson, who scored 19 points, a game high. Ryan Thompson scored 14 points, having an okay game. On Monday, the Bronx hosted Niagara. Now, in the beginning of the season, both these teams were ranked very high in the preseason. Rider was ranked third, Niagara picked second. However, both teams have faltered as the season has gone on, tied for fifth right now in the MAC. Rider also beat Niagara last month, 65-64, and we're looking for the season sweep again on Monday. They succeeded, winning 70-62. The key factor in this was Ryan Thompson. He played like the preseason MAC Player of the Year he's been supposed to all year, scoring 31 points and 7 rebounds. When he plays like this, the Bronx can beat pretty much anyone. However, he's been struggling a lot lately, and that's why he's been very inconsistent. The Bronx, however, in the first half struggled and were down 14 at halftime. Then, in the second half, was when Ryan Thompson and Justin Robinson took over. Robinson finished with 14 points before fouling out with a couple minutes left in the game. Thompson had a very clutch performance in the last minute and 6 seconds, scoring 6 points to close out the victory. Rider now has a record of 14-12 and 7-7 in the MAC as they move forward. This has been all for Josh Feltry. Let's send it back to the Hall of Fame.
Now we're going to take a look at the women's basketball team. They have a 3-19 record, and their most recent win came on January 30th against Manhattan College. They followed up that win with 2 straight losses to Niagara and Canisius. We'll keep you posted on how they're doing the rest of the season.
As you all may know, this past Sunday was the 44th Super Bowl game. Let's turn it over to Travis Hastings and the Rider Round Table to see what they have to say about the game.
How's it going, Rider? I'm Travis Hastings, and you're back for the Rider Sports Reports Roundtable. This week's topic is the 44th Super Bowl between the Indianapolis Colts and the New Orleans Saints. With me today, I have Matt Metzger, anchor for the Rider Sports Report, and I have Josh Feltry, editor for the Rider News. Okay, guys, what do you got for me?
Well, Super Bowl 44 lived up to its billing. That was an exciting game. You know, it came down to the last play where the Saints picked it off, and I was pulling for them, wanted to see the city of New Orleans get it. Drew Brees, 4 years there. Coming from San Diego, we kind of got pushed out, by Rivers and the management. So it was nice to see the Saints win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was kind of rooting for Peyton Manning just because, he's a classy guy. So I just like the Colts in that respect because they're kind of a classy team. But like I said, the Saints, what New Orleans has been through lately, they deserved it, and that city really needed a lift. So I'm really happy that the Saints were able to pull it through.
Do you believe Drew Brees deserved the MVP?
I believed he did, just because the adversity he went through, not only a couple years ago, even in the Super Bowl itself. The first 2 possessions that Saints had, he was like 2 for 7, not many yards. I think they went 3 and out, and then they got a first down, and then they were punted again. After that, I think he only didn't complete 3 passes, 29 for 32 or something like that. Really, put the Saints on his back and just went all over the field, different receivers, spread it out. And he looked really comfortable after the pregame jitters.
Yeah, he really did settle into his own. Like you said, he actually completed 32 passes. He tied the record for the most completed passes in the Super Bowl game. He led the team. He was brought into New Orleans to be the leader, to be the cornerstone to that franchise, and he showed it. He outpassed Peyton Manning. He beat the Indianapolis Colts. It was a great game overall, but if it wasn't for Drew Brees, I don't think the Saints would have pulled it off.
All right. Why do you think the Saints won?
They did what the Colts were trying to do. Each team was covering the downfield threat. There was no long ball in this game. So everything was underneath, a little pitch and catch. And the Saints executed better on the 5-6 yard dumps where the Colts didn't. The Colts had a lot of trouble getting, Dallas Clark freed up from the linebackers. Yeah. They had a lot of trouble finding the small, short dump passes where the Saints were able to execute. And the running back for the Saints,
Reggie Bush?
No,
Pierre Thomas.
Pierre Thomas. Thank you. It is Thomas. He played a phenomenal game. I mean, I haven't seen a running back keep his legs moving so well in a very long time. So I think all those combined helped the Saints elevate their level of play.
Compared to the Saints, how do you think the Colts did?
I think the Colts, they started off great. I don't think they could have acted better. I think the turning point in the game, second quarter, the Colts only had the ball, I think, 1 or 2 possessions. The Saints dominated the rest of it. But they had a third down, and I want to say a 7. Pierre Garçon, who had a great game, has had a great postseason, great story, dropped a pass. Wide open, dropped a pass. They had to punt it away. After that, momentum switched. And I don't think they were ever able to get that back.
You know, Sean Payton said it. He was like, you know, it's either you go big or you go home. It's the Super Bowl. You got to play to win. He went for it on 4th down on the goal line, lost that one, and ended up, you know, luckily getting the field goal late in the first half to make it 10-6, and then gets the onside kick. So I think it's not a matter of what the Colts did or didn't do. It's more what the Saints did. You know, the Saints won that game.
What did you think about Peyton besides like the interception at the end of the game?
Well, the interception, I don't know. Like, we obviously weren't in the huddle. We don't know what play was called. Whether Reggie Wayne was supposed to cut more in, like, we don't know whose fault that is. It's easier to put on the quarterback just because he's throwing the ball. But Reggie Wayne maybe he's supposed to cut more. So ultimately, Peyton did. He put the ball where it was supposed to be. There was a couple drops, like you said before. I think he did the best. There was a missed field goal. He did the best he could to try to win the game. But ultimately, the Saints were just more ready to play, and they wanted it more.
Yeah, you can definitely tell in the second half the Saints wanted it more, hands down. And you know what, though? I mean, not taking nothing away from Peyton Manning as a quarterback. He played a great game. You know, one interception isn't going to define his career. He's only 9-9 in the postseason. He's a 500 quarterback. So if you really look at, you know, the bigger picture, maybe some could say that you expected it from Peyton. You know, early in his career, he didn't win many playoff games at all.
To his defense, though, the defense was horrible when he first started that. It
Oh,
was
no, I
horrible.
agree.
I'm
I
just
agree.
saying that sometimes that record can be a little skewed just because the team around him wasn't all that good.
No, I agree. I'm just, you know, it just you look at certain numbers and it makes you wonder, you know. But I don't think Peyton played a great football game. Both quarterbacks had phenomenal yardage. They had great completion percentages, and it's just unfortunate that the one play that's going to stick out is that interception because how many turnovers really were in that game? I think
that might have
that was
just
the only
been-
one, right? So without turnovers, you're going to remember the biggest one, and unfortunately for Peyton and the Colts, it turned out to be the game sealer.
Now, do you guys think that the Saints and the Colts will stand out next year, or do you think they'll just kind of fade away?
I think that it a lot depends on who they bring back and on injuries next year. If Reggie Bush comes back, because Reggie Bush is a dynamic player that the Saints need, special teams, receiving out of the backfield, and I just think they're both going to obviously bring back Breeze and Manning are going to huge extensions this year. But it all depends pretty much on injuries. If Bob Sanders stays healthy for the Colts, they'll obviously going to be competing because their defense will be better. If the receivers stay healthy, and I think the Saints are going to stay. It all depends on injuries because every team in the beginning, I think, has a chance to go far. It's just how they basically mesh together during the season and how what injuries happen. And I think the Saints and the Colts are going to start out ahead of everyone, but injuries could bring them back and set them back. So we'll see.
I think both teams will compete. They're always in it every other year. You know, how could you argue they're not going to be? So yeah, I think New Orleans and Indianapolis are going to be right in the mix of things next year.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that's all the time we have this week. Tune in next week as we talk about the Vancouver Winter Olympics. I'm Travis Hastings, and you're excused from the table.
Staying with professional sports, Matt Blum of the Rider Sports Report had the opportunity to interview Kobe Bryant, Jason Thompson, and other NBA stars over his winter break. Let's see what they had to say.
You know, you have a lot of accolades now. You have, 11-time All-Star selection, NBA MVP, lots of awards. I mean, is there anything you haven't accomplished in your career that you still want to?
You know, I honestly I just love what I do. I absolutely love it. I just feel like the most blessed, most fortunate person in the world. You wake up in the morning and go do something that you love doing. So I'm happy with that. So that's why I continue to work, because I just genuinely enjoy it.
How has working with NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar helped your game out?
It's helped in many ways. One of the most important is footwork on the block. I really worked a lot, catching the ball on the block, going right and left, and just using footwork.
This year you've made a really good case for yourself. You're second in NBA All-Star ballot voting. What is that like for you?
It feels good, to be there. But as of right now, I'm trying to play, trying to live up to that name. I gotta try to get my stats back up, be more aggressive on the court.
Matt Blum here with Lamar Odom. Lamar, there was a lot of controversy over the summer of where you're going to end up playing What was your main deciding factor in coming back to LA?
Easy. I've been in LA since I was 19 years old, and I won a championship here. And after winning the championship, I didn't think it was the time, to switch teams. Hopefully we can run off a couple in a row here. So I'm kind of looking forward to it.
You've been playing with Ron Artest this season, a childhood friend. What's that been like for you to be able to play with him?
Childhood dream come true. Something that we always thought about, and never thought that was going to happen. But it's here, and at this stage of our career, it's really special because, like I said, we're competing for a championship.
Your role in the team has been changing a lot from starter to sixth man. Where do you see yourself as most effective on the team?
Whether coming off the bench or starting, I guess wherever they need me, wherever they need my energy and my skills, inside, outside, rebounding or running a team, whatever's asked of me.
And this year you won your first NBA championship. What was that like for you when you won it?
That was the pinnacle, the top of my basketball career, and the greatest thing about it is we have the opportunity to stay right there, and that's what we work toward every day.
You've come out with big numbers this season, making a really good bid for yourself to be on the All-Star ballot. How does it feel after last season being underestimated and overlooked on the rookie-sophomore game to be on the All-Star ballot this year?
It just gives me a lot of motivation. It took a while, obviously, a lot of hard work and determination for me to come out of a small school to get drafted as high as I did, and especially to get minutes as much as I did and play every game as much as I did last year. So I was very blessed on that, and I wanted to take last year underneath my belt personally and just get better. So I just improved my numbers, improved my block shots and rebounds, and and got blessed to be on the All-Star ballot. So hopefully, you never know what happens, but with the years to come, I want that to not just be a surprise, be a consistent basis, and hopefully, always just be a consistent All-Star, and that's the goal.
Now, earlier this season, your former team, the Rider Broncs, led by your brother Ryan, beat number 18 Mississippi State. The biggest school or the biggest win in school's history. How'd you feel about that when you heard it, and where'd you hear about it?
We actually had a game the same night, and I had heard that they were playing them away. And my parents actually went to the game as well, and I think I had a 20-10 game and got out with a W. Arco was rocking, and then I got some texts saying that I had a good congrats to me and a congrats to my brother and them, and they got the win, and it was a great feeling. I mean, I'm sure that they were going crazy, and they had a sold-out crowd, and they silenced them, and they proved a lot of people wrong on getting a W like that, so it's pretty good.
Now the Kings have jumped out to a really quick. Almost matching their record from last year, getting wins quickly. What do you attribute that mainly to?
Well, one, I mean, it's just a different, coach, different system, and just different players. Guys are really playing really hard, and, we believe. Last year, you were unsure of what was going on, but now guys are, really in tune on just getting better. And, the last couple of road games, we've taken care at home. And the last couple of road games, we had some gutsy wins, and that's going to be the difference between us trying to make a playoff, trying to be in the playoff hunt. And we had a tough test with Cleveland, and we're going to have two more tonight against LA and another in Denver, just to see on what kind of team we could be. So hopefully, we get 2 out of the 3 wins, and just keep it moving.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week. I'm Olivia Hoff.
And I'm Matt Metzger. From everyone here at the Rider Sports Report, have a great week, Rider.